So I found 4 apps that'll pay you money just for using their apps. I'll rate all 4 of these apps by how much money they can make you, how likely they are to pay consistently, and how much effort it takes to make consistent income. If this is helpful or entertaining, let me know. So first app on the list is Solitaire Cash. So I figured I'd start with a weird one because this is definitely something I would have done if I was still in school or had a bunch of free time sitting in class or something. So it sounds kind of weird, and it is kind of weird, but this app pays you $200 every time you win a game. So as you would probably guess, this game is very similar to the card game Solitaire. Solitaire has been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years, so if you're already familiar with the rules for Solitaire, this Solitaire Cash game has virtually the same rules, just a couple new things you have to learn. Generally speaking, the goal is to get as many points as you can and to complete the game as quickly as possible. And if you reach a certain score, the game will actually pay you up to $200. But from briefly playing the game and from what I've heard from other people, this game is not easy. So how would I rate Solitaire Cash? In the how much it pays category, I'd give it a 5 out of 10. $200 is pretty good for winning a mobile game app, but like we said, it's not an easy game at all. In the how consistent is the money category, I'd give Solitaire Cash like a 2 out of 10. Unless you're really good at this particular version of Solitaire, you're probably not going to win very often. Last is the how much effort it takes to win money category, and I'd also give this a 2 out of 10 for the same reasons that we just mentioned. It's not an easy game even if you play Solitaire, and you have to be consistently way above average to make any kind of reasonable income. So it does take a lot of effort to win the game. I would personally prefer some of the other options on this list unless you're really good at Solitaire. Number 2 on the list is Swagbucks. So Swagbucks has been around for about 10 years now, so you might have heard of this one. Swagbucks pays you for completing surveys and questionnaires, similar to the other websites or apps that pay you for completing surveys. But you can also get paid to play games and read articles on this site. You really do have to read the fine print on this one because you're rarely going to get paid any sizable amount of money just for completing like one level in a game. Most of the time you have to get to like level 50 to actually make any money, which, as you can probably guess, is going to be both very time consuming and probably not very enjoyable for most people. So Swagbucks also lets you shop through their website, and they give you a small to medium amount of money just through purchasing an item through their store. Obviously you shouldn't do this unless you were already planning on buying the item, or then you're just going to end up spending $20 just to save $1, which is not a good idea. Anyway, if this website looks like something you think you could use, you can still make a fair bit of money by just treating this as a little side hustle on your computer in your free time. So let's rank this app. In the first category for how much it pays, I'd give it about a 2 out of 10. While it's relatively easy to make money using this website or the downloadable app, the amount of money that you actually make for your effort is pretty low. You can realistically expect to make somewhere between $1 and $10 per hour of work, which is better than nothing, but still probably better suited for somebody who's either in middle school or high school, or somebody who just has a little bit of extra time at the end of the day. In the how consistent is the money category, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It's not that difficult to get paid using Swagbucks, so the potential to make money is there. Last is the how much effort it takes to make money category, and I'd give this one about an 8 out of 10 for sort of the same reasons. While you're not going to get rich using Swagbucks as your side hustle, you can very easily make enough money to pay for like an extra meal or a little bit of gas. And if money's tight, that can really make a big difference. Also, since it's a work from home website, you won't have to commute to work, and you can also set your own schedule. Number 3 on the list is Survey Junkie. Survey Junkie is similar to Swagbucks in the sense that you get paid for answering questions and surveys, but the layout of this site, in my opinion, is much better. And it's also not cluttered with like 35 different ways to make money. There's only one way, and that's just surveys. It's called Survey Junkie. The only thing you can do is do surveys. So all you have to do to get started is to download the app, create an account if you don't already have one, and then enter the information that it asks. So total time to set up is less than 10 minutes, and now you're able to earn money by completing surveys. And you'll get paid different amounts of money based on which surveys you do. So the surveys can range from anything from a really short survey, like 5 to 10 questions, to all the way up to something that takes 25 or 30 minutes to complete. Like we said, you'll get paid different amounts of money based on which survey you do, but you do have to follow some rules. For example, you have to be able to answer the questions honestly, and you also can't go too fast. So if you just try to click through the surveys as fast as possible, you're just going to get disqualified, and then you won't be allowed to earn any money. So you actually have to take the surveys legitimately. So as far as the money is concerned, these surveys pay anywhere from like 25 cents to $5 or $6 per completion of each survey. But some of the really long surveys can pay even more than that. So let's rate this app. So in the first category for how much money it pays, I'd give it around a 4 out of 10. Like we mentioned, it's around 25 cents to maybe $5 per survey, which can actually add up over time if you get efficient at doing them. Like all the other entries on this list, you're You're not going to get rich from doing any of these surveys, but it can still make enough money to make a little bit of a difference. So expect to make somewhere between $10 and $40 per day, but that requires you to put in pretty consistent time. And lastly, in the how consistent is the money category, I'd give it about an 8 out of 10. You can make extra money pretty easily, even if you only have like 20 minutes to kill. Number 4 is the app Fundrise. So completely changing gears from the other 3 options on this list, Fundrise is a real estate investment app where you can invest in real estate similar to how you can in REITs or real estate investment trusts. And if you don't know what a REIT is, here's sort of a general explanation. So there's real estate companies that make their money by purchasing real estate properties and then fixing up and either renting or selling out those properties. And you can actually invest in these companies through a REIT, meaning you give them a small amount of your money as an investment, and if the property ownership company does well, then the value of your REIT goes up, which just means that your investment value also goes up. So in other words, you let these real estate companies use your money to make more money. And when they do eventually make more money, then they pay you back in dividends for you allowing them to use a little bit of your money. So back to the app, Fundrise operates in the same way. So the companies that are on Fundrise are looking for investors like you to supply them with money so that they can buy these income producing properties. And like with REITs, when these properties do well, you will also get paid. So unlike the other 3 entries on this list, money is not a guarantee with this Fundrise app. There's kind of a large risk in investing in real estate properties because, in simple terms, it might not work, right? Maybe the renters end up destroying the place or just not paying, or maybe the rental company decides to build new rental properties, but nobody ends up buying the rental properties, or they sell for way less or they rent for way less than was originally intended. That's sort of the risk on your part. The company's only going to be able to pay you if they're making money. So if the company tanks or they make a bunch of investments that don't pan out, you're not going to get paid. So the difference between Fundrise and a regular REIT is the amount of money that it takes to get started. So with a standard real estate investment trust, they always have some sort of defined minimum for the amount of money that you can invest, meaning you have to invest a certain amount of money before they even let you invest any money at all. And in real world money, that tends to work out somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000 or $4,000. If you don't have a couple grand laying around, investing in REITs in most cases is not going to be possible. So that's why the app Fundrise was created. So Fundrise basically allows you to invest in real estate companies or REIT funds similar to how a REIT would. But the minimum payment is like $10, which just makes getting started with investing much more accessible to the average beginner. Also, Fundrise pays dividends, so monthly or quarterly payments, which just means that you won't have to wait a long time for you to start getting paid for the investment. Some of the companies invest and pay dividends monthly, so if you invest $100 this month, you might get paid $5 or $10 next month. So those are really the differences worth mentioning between a REIT and the Fundrise app. Almost anybody can afford to get started with investing through something like Fundrise, and the dividend payments also tend to be pretty quick, like monthly, for example. If you're okay with a little bit higher risk investment opportunity and you have some money lying around, an app like Fundrise might be a good way for you to make a little bit extra money online with relatively low effort. So how would I rate Fundrise? Well, for the how much it pays category, I'd give it about an 8 out of 10. So unlike for surveys and online games, true investing like this is going to have a much higher ceiling for how much money you can make, as opposed to like the other 3 entries that we talked about. The downside, of course, being that you need to already have some money saved up for you to actually have enough money to invest, even if it's not as much as something you would need for like a REIT, for example. So generally speaking, if you do well with your investments, you could probably expect to make somewhere in the realm of $10 to $100 per $1,000 invested. Now, $100 per $1,000 invested is a 10% return, and even when accounting for housing appreciation, that would be a pretty high return. So unless you're very skilled or very lucky, that's probably not going to happen, but it could. So if you're able to get a 10% return, you could theoretically get $1,000 for every $10,000 invested. But keep in mind, this would be abnormally high. So the other benefit with Fundrise is that you actually get some practice investing. Unlike in the other entries that we had on this list, you can actually learn a real valuable skill through Fundrise because you get to sort of do a trial and error process with investing. And for new investors, this is worth its weight in gold, and honestly might be the single best perk of actually using this app. So in the how consistent is the money category, I'd give Fundrise about an 8 out of 10. If the company you invest in pays a dividend once every month, unless that company goes out of business, you're going to keep getting paid once a month. So that consistency is an upside. That being said, like we've talked about, there's risk. And with risk means that you could also lose all the money that you invest. So I can't actually give this category a 10. Lastly is the how much effort it takes category, and I'll give this a 9 out of 10. We pretty much covered this already, but once you find a company or a group of companies that you want to invest in, all you have to do is invest a little bit of your own money and sit back and wait. There's practically no effort at all. Matter of fact, I can't really even come up with much off the top of my head that would take less effort than that. So yeah, if you want a lower effort means to making some additional money, consider an app like Fundrise so that you can just park your money somewhere that you trust and and hopefully make a good return. So if you watch this far, you might be seeing a pattern here. While it is somewhat easy to make a small amount of money consistently online by either playing these games or by answering surveys and filling out questions, you're not going to be making enough money to get rich. And that's okay. That's not the purpose of these apps, and of course you're not going to get rich by doing online surveys. And you almost certainly knew that before you clicked on this video. But money is tight for a lot of people right now, me included, and every little bit does make a difference. So if you just need a few extra bucks a month, or maybe you owe somebody 10 bucks and you just can't wait to pay them back, then I can totally understand doing some of these apps for a couple days or a couple weeks just to make a little bit extra money. Also, if you're really young and you're just getting into the financial space, a lot of these apps or tools that you see online can be a pretty good way to get exposure into the more impactful stuff like investing, for example, or just learning a valuable skill, because the days of having to go to college for like 8 years to get rich is behind us. You don't have to go to college or attend some sort of long-term study program. If you can really find something that you're good at and figure out a way to monetize it, you can start making a ton of money at a pretty young age. And I think that's one of the coolest things about the time that we live in right now. Obviously, you could take a more pessimistic approach and say that the world that we live in is too fast-paced or too focused on monetization, but whether you agree with that philosophy or not, it just is what it is. Might as well do what you can to stay ahead. And some of these apps that I mentioned might be a good gateway to do exactly that. Thanks for watching as always. At the time of filming this video, I have exactly 52 subscribers. So if you want to squeeze in there while I'm still a complete no-name, now's your chance. And I, of course, would really appreciate that. Anyway, whether you plan on using these apps or not, if you found this video helpful, let me know. I'd really appreciate the feedback. Hope this was helpful. Have a good day.